A grocery store is supposed to be safe, its aisles filled with mundane choices. But sometimes, after hours, the lights dim and something else walks the shelves. Tonight, I'm diving into a terrifying true story from 2020 about a night shift at a grocery store in Topeka, Kansas that became a nightmare no one could explain. This is Nighttime Haunting at the Grocery Store, a Reddit thread linked to it with a user claiming to be a former worker, sharing a chilling account of what happened during a midnight shift. The details were raw. Flickering lights, whispers in the stockroom, a presence that watched from the shadows. I dug deeper, chasing police reports, employee interviews, and a paranormal blog that pieced together the store's dark history. This wasn't just a spooky tale, it was a real horror, rooted in a place as ordinary as your local market, but hiding something ancient and malevolent. Topeka, a quiet Midwest city, became the stage for a haunting that still sends shivers through those who lived it. Let's go back to March 2020, when 24-year-old Ethan Carter was working the graveyard shift at Save More Foods, a 24-hour grocery store on the edge of Topeka. Ethan was a college dropout, scraping by, restocking shelves from 11 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock a.m., alongside two co-workers, Maria, 40, a single mum and cashier, and Jake, 19, a slacker who cleaned the floors. The store was a fluorescent-lit maze of aisles, its linoleum floors scuffed, its ceiling tiles stained. By midnight, the customers dwindled, leaving the trio alone in the cavernous space, the hum of refrigerators and faint music the only sounds. Ethan liked the quiet, though he had heard rumours from day shift workers, strange noises, items falling, a weird vibe after dark. He brushed it off as boredom talking, but Maria, who'd worked there for years, always crossed herself when locking the back door. The first sign of trouble came early that month. Ethan was stacking canned goods in aisle 7 when the lights flickered, casting long shadows across the shelves. He glanced up, expecting a power surge, but the flickering stopped, and a chill settled over the aisle, like stepping into a freezer. He heard a whisper. Soft and garbled, like a voice underwater, coming from the end of the aisle. He called out, "Jake, that you?" No answer, just the whisper again, now clearer. "Look." Ethan's skin prickled. He walked to the end, finding nothing but a can of soup on the floor, its label torn, as if clawed. He told Maria, who frowned, muttering about the store's ghost, a story she'd heard from older employees about a worker who died in the 1980s, crushed in the stockroom. Ethan laughed, but his hands shook as he restocked, the whisper lingering in his ears. The disturbances grew. Jake, mopping aisle 12, saw a figure in the security mirror, a tall, gaunt shape in a dark coat. Standing behind him, he spun around, mop raised, but the aisle was empty, the mirror showing only his pale face. He ran to the break room, babbling to Ethan and Maria, who checked the cameras. The footage was blank, a 10-minute gap of static. Though the system was new, Maria's unease deepened. She noticed the stockroom door, always locked, swinging open at night, revealing a dark, narrow space, filled with crates and a faint smell of rot. One night, she found a handprint on the door, smeared in something sticky, too large to be human. She wiped it clean, her rosary clenched, refusing to go back alone. Ethan started noticing things too. Items he'd shelved would rearrange themselves, cereal boxes turned backward, jars stacked in pyramids. Always after midnight, the store's intercom would crackle. spitting a low hum, like chanting. Though no one touched it, he'd feel watched, a heaviness pressing on his chest, especially near the meat department, where the glass cases reflected the store in distorted angles. One night, he saw a face in the glass, not his, but a woman's, her skin grey, her eyes sunken, her mouth moving as if speaking. He blinked, and it was gone, but the air turned icy, the smell of decay thick. He told Jake, who admitted to hearing footsteps pacing the stockroom, though he'd never dared look. By late March, the trio was on edge, their shifts a gauntlet of fear. Maria brought a crucifix, hanging it in the break room, but it fell nightly, the nail bent. Jake's phone, left charging, recorded a 30-second clip of whispers, a woman's voice saying, "Stay here." He showed it to Ethan, who recognised the voice from aisle 7. They confronted their manager Tom, a gruff man who dismissed it as pranks, but his eyes darted nervously to the stockroom. Tom admitted the store had a history. A worker, Ellen Shaw, died in 1987 when a pallet collapsed, pinning her. Her body wasn't found for hours, and some said her spirit never left, angry at being forgotten. Ethan scoffed, but Maria's face paled. She'd seen Ellen's name scratched into a stockroom shelf, fresh, like it was carved yesterday. The terror peaked on March 27th. The store was empty, the night cold, the sky starless. Ethan was in aisle 3, restocking pasta, when the lights went out, plunging the store into darkness. The emergency lights didn't kick on, and the silence was deafening. No hum, no music, just his own breathing. He called for Maria and Jake, his voice echoing, but got no reply. His flashlight app flickered, barely cutting through the black, and he heard it. Footsteps. Slow and heavy, coming from the meat department. He froze, the air growing colder, the rot smell choking him. A whisper, now a hiss, said, "Look at me." His phone's light caught the glass case, and there she was, the woman, her face pressed against the inside of the glass, her eyes black pits, her fingers clawing, leaving streaks. Ethan ran, his shoes slipping toward the front, where Maria was supposed to be. He found her at the register, trembling, staring at the security monitor, which showed the stockroom door opening and closing on its own. Jake was missing. They called his name, their voices cracking, but the footsteps grew louder, now circling them. The intercom blared, a scream tearing through the speakers. Not human but primal, shaking the shelves. Cans fell, glass shattered, and the crucifix hit the floor, splintering. Maria sobbed, clutching her rosary, as Ethan dragged her toward the exit. But the doors wouldn't budge, the locks jammed, though the keys turned. The hiss returned, closer, behind them. "You're mine!" They fled to the break room, barricading the door with a vending machine, the footsteps pounding outside. Ethan's phone pinged, a video recorded minutes ago, showing the stockroom. In it, Jake stood, staring at the shelves, his eyes blank, a shadow behind him, tall and formless, its hands on his shoulders. The video cut to static, and the pounding stopped, replaced by silence. Maria whispered prayers, but Ethan heard it, a laugh, low and guttural, from inside the room. The lights flickered back on, revealing Jake's mop, propped against the wall, dripping red, though no one had seen him clean. The barricade shook, the door splintering, as the laugh grew louder, the air thick with rot. The police arrived at 6 o'clock a.m., responding to a silent alarm Ethan didn't remember triggering. The store was trashed, shelves toppled, meat cases smeared with handprints, the stockroom door sealed shut, though officers swore it was open when they entered. Ethan and Maria were found huddled in the break room, incoherent, their faces drained of colour. Jake was gone. No trace, no body, his phone left behind, its video unwatchable, corrupted by static. The police report called it vandalism, but officers noted an unexplained presence, their radios failing inside. Save More closed days later, its lease terminated, the building left vacant, its windows boarded, though locals claim lights flicker inside at midnight. Ethan quit, moving to Wichita, haunted by the woman's face, the laugh that follows his dreams. Maria sought help from a priest, who blessed her but refused to enter the store, sensing something ancient, not human. A paranormal investigator, Karen Holt, visited the site, her EMF meter spiking, her recorder capturing a voice saying, "Ellen waits." Karen's research uncovered more. Before Save More, the land held a 19th century slaughterhouse, its workers plagued by accidents, some claiming a grey lady haunted the killing floor. The store's mirrors, Karen noted, were salvaged from that era, their glass warped, reflecting shadows that moved alone. I've read Ethan's Reddit post, Maria's interview, in a Topeka paper, Karen's blog. I drove past the abandoned Save More, its lot empty, the air heavy, like it's holding its breath. A neighbour told me kids dare each other to peek inside, swearing they see a woman in the windows, her eyes black. Ellen Shaw's death is real, her obituary stark, but the slaughterhouse's history hints at something older, tied to the land's blood-soaked past. This is nighttime haunting at the grocery store, a warning that some places hide horrors behind their fluorescent glow. And now, the end, where the nightmare bites. Months later, a demolition crew arrived to raise Save More. As they tore into the stockroom, they found a hidden space behind the shelves, sealed for decades, its walls carved with symbols, eyes, spirals, hands, smeared in red. In the centre stood a mirror, unlisted in the store's inventory, its glass cracked, pulsing with a faint, sickly light. A worker, touching it, screamed, his reflection twisting into a grey, eyeless face, clawing at the glass. The mirror shattered, the room filled with a scream that shook the walls, and the crew fled, leaving the site untouched. At night, passers-by hear whispers from the ruins, see shadows moving in the broken glass, and some swear Jake's face appears, his eyes black, his voice hissing, "Stay." The store is gone, but its horror lives, watching from the dark, waiting for the next shift to begin. So what's in your store? What's reflected in the aisles? Shop early, because this nightmare is real, and it's closer than you think.